I'd like to call the Wednesday, July 19th, 2023 Land and Facility Management Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Roger Plannis.
Here.
Ms. Tina Bowden. Here. Ms. Jenny Marlborough.
Good. Moving to 2A, to receive a report from Mr. Andy Positeri from the Thibodeau Middle School. Mr. Positeri, you have the floor.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I know y'all have a status report, but really everything on the status report is done. So, and of course, as y'all know from earlier today, the school is essentially in its, well, I'll say the 11th hour of completion. We had our fire marshal walk through yesterday. We're granted temporary occupancy pending completion of the gym area. So, of course, as we talked about last month, the gym area won't be turned over quite at the beginning of school year, but it should be a couple weeks after that. The classroom areas have all been, the furniture has all been moved from the moving companies. The administrative area, all the furniture is in there. And beginning this coming Monday, the school can be available for the teachers to start moving in. I know that staff has been working along with the principal to come up with a schedule for those teachers, so I'm going to let them handle that side, but beginning on Monday, that space will be available. Contractors are continuing to work their way through the gymnasium area and complete everything. But again, everything is, all systems go for August 7th for the kids to come. Kind of a short and sweet report, but happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, could you walk through, we know the building's going to open. I've been getting a few questions, and if you could just speak to the demolition process once we get the folks inside the school, what the school year is going to look like as we demolish the two existing schools.
Yeah, so what will happen first, after school starts, I believe that abatement will happen first at West. And that's actually going to happen probably starting in the next couple weeks. Once abatement happens at West, and I didn't bring the up-to-date schedule, but somewhere around the beginning of August, everything will be out of West, and that will start to get demolished. There's a little section of staff parking that will extend where one of the buildings at West is currently sitting. So once that portion of the campus is demolished and removed, they'll complete that staff parking area on that west side. And then at the end of August, that process will start again on the East Thibodeau side. So a lot of the activity will happen first at West. But of course, the big focus right now is to get the new building ready for move-in date. But it'll happen very quickly after that you'll start to see other activity spread out to the existing campus.
Any other questions or concerns? John, you have something to say?
No. And he's doing a great job.
Excellent.
Team effort.
All right, Ms. Tina?
So I'm just going to ask, because I'm sure it's a question a lot of people want to know. As the abatement and the demolition happens, it's going to be not anything that will be interfering with the school day of the kids, meaning like noise and such. Like
There'll be a little bit noise, but it's going to happen quickly. So the amount of that duration, demolition is not a very surgical thing. So it'll come down quickly and get hauled off quickly. So there'll be a lot of that, heavy equipment noise type thing. I don't expect there to be a whole lot of banging and that pounding sound for too long. But if you get concerns or complaints along the way, certainly let us know. We'll see what we can do to mitigate that.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else from Mr. Andy? I would just like to say I was one of those on that tour I was given today. I really don't think the students are going to realize what they're going to inherit. When open house comes, please, parents, make sure you attend it. Please make sure you attend it. There's something to behold. Mr. Andy, thank you and your team, everything. It was a wonderful walkthrough today. Actually, I took us about an hour and a half almost to walk through it. So it's huge. The child may get lost, but we'll find them. I promise.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Moving on to 3A, to receive a report from Mr. Daniel Bruce on the Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School. Mr. Bruce, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
They're skidding into completing. We have the fire marshal scheduled for next Tuesday at Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School. We can gain substantial completion and have the school ready for beginning of school. I think they've cleared out classrooms, so they've begun, or if not begun, John, you can maybe chime in on cleaning and waxing floors inside the classrooms. They've turned that over to the staff, and then they're going to kind of back into the corridors afterward and get that taken care of and then work their way out. They're basically primarily working on the kitchen cafeteria, trying to wrap up the kitchen cafeteria right now. Is where they are. So looks like we're going to be ready for school.
All right, any questions, Mr. Bruce, from the board members, any from the public? All right, once again, we do thank you, and once again, thank you for that 150-day deadline. We'll keep thanking you on that.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. All right, item 4A, to receive a report from Mr. Robert Utley on Thibodeau Elementary School. Mr. Utley? Mr. John, now you up. Would you like to say anything about that?
Let's see. I know the project was started a while back and was kind of on hold. This was one of those supply chain issues where we were waiting on everything to come in and also to be able to get into that facility. They worked Friday and Saturday over the weekend and have most of the components in place. Wasn't prepared for a full status update on it, but it is proceeding along. So I don't see it going more than maybe a couple more weeks. We'll be done.
Any questions? Good. All right. Once again, thank you. Item 5A, to receive a report from Bob Bernard with Allstate Consulting on Hurricane Ida damages. Mr. Bob, you are.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
sorry, All South.
That's okay.
What the
All
hell?
state, all south.
Allstate? Like a good neighbor. You know what I'm saying? Michael, you're in good hands like a good neighbor.
I'm going to be brief because we have a lot to cover after this. And we're going to have a presentation by domain, so I want to save time so they can get up and do what they have to do, then get out. That's going to be on Golden Meadow Middle. But anyway, South Lafourche High School, things are clicking. We met there last week. Principal is good. So if the principal's good, then I think everybody else is good. She was concerned about some deadlines, getting things finished and ready, but that's happening. So teachers are setting up classrooms, getting ready to move in, and contract is moving along, so no big issues there. Roof work is about done. No new pictures to update because it's pretty much copy and repeat from last meeting. But next month we should have better updates and we'll share pictures of the completed roof. I'm waiting on some drone shots from La Perouse to show the overall completed projects at LCO and at South Lafourche. LCO, again, roof repairs are about done, so that's two major projects going into hurricane season where we have our roofs done. In fact, pretty much throughout the district, with the exception of Golden Meadow Middle is the only one, but that's going to be under contract, and that work will be starting hopefully shortly. Same thing at Cutoff Elementary. Interior work is progressing. Principal is great. She's working with the contractor. And is going to have to do some moving during the school year to finish up some of the interiors, but that's all coordinated, and I think it's going to work out fine. Bayou Blue, Building 7, we were there today for the OAC meeting. Looking really good. From last month, contractor did a lot of cleanup. They're ready to just about pull that fence down, that temporary barricade. They're going to have the building finished. They want to get it down because of storms, right? Hurricane season. It is a liability, so the sooner we take it down, the better. And they are finished on that side, so there shouldn't be any issues with them taking it down. They'll leave portions of it up where they need to, but the big area will be taken down. But that school is looking good. Opening October.
Mid-October.
Mid-October, yeah. And they shouldn't have any problems meeting that date. Okay. Buffalo Rose, same thing. Roof work is about done. We did find some additional damaged roof panels that were missed that will need to be fixed. So that's gonna be something coming up as a change order. It's all hurricane related, but you're gonna be seeing that and coming probably next board meeting. We'll have that put together to do additional roof work at that campus. Go to Meadow Upper, the temporary band building, Geotech is going out Monday to do the bores, to do the soil samples. It's gonna take about a month to get their report back. Same thing we did for St. Charles Elementary, same process. RFQ for the temporary building will be going out next week. So we hope to have a band building in place sometime in October is the goal. Graceland Upper, I was there yesterday. There was some concerns about furniture still on the first floor that needs to go to the third floor. Contractor is committed to work Saturday to get that done. So hopefully, better. On Monday, all of that third floor furniture that's on the first floor that's in the way will be up on the third, so the janitors can finish, or custodians can finish stripping wax. So that's happening. Tip, they finished the roof repair and decking. That's done, the roof is on, so that's fixed. Unfortunately, we had 2 HVAC units that went out. They're about 40 years old, John, is that close? Almost 40 years old, so that's gonna be coming up, and you're shaking your head, no?
Can't imagine they lasted 40 years.
That's why they lasted, because they're 40 years old.
The new ones are gonna last 10 years.
Yeah, that's right, we're gonna change them out 10 years, so you're gonna be getting that report for change order request coming up later on. All right, I think I hit all St. Charles Elementary. Good news, Entergy came through for us. With a lot of pushing and prodding, John and I were hitting them on both ends.
On to the wire.
John told him, I'm not gonna be able to enjoy my vacation if you don't get power on this building by tomorrow. So they juggled a few things around. They got a crew up going out there tomorrow to get power to the classroom, that temporary building. Got to have it. So fingers crossed that they'll make it happen. Your 2 reps with Energy are great, by the way. That's Paula Rome and Stacy Fontenot. Yeah. They really went above and beyond.
Yes. Including the parish with the permit office on this whole process with that modular.
Yeah, right. Shout out to Mitch Ogeron and Tony Burrow. Yep. They helped expedite all this. We knew we had to get it done by August. Someone told me it couldn't happen. I'm not going to say who. He's not in this room, but we made it happen. I think that's it. The rest of these, we have the mitigation. Go to Middle, Bayou Bluff Elementary. FEMA has been out and has completed their site inspections. We don't know what they're going to decide. It's going to be months and months from now, but the process has started. So it's a wait and see. All right, last one, major milestone. We have 1 bid remaining. It's going to be in August. It's 10 campuses with miscellaneous damage. So that's huge. Not to mention getting all the roofs back, practically all of them, with the exception of, I think, the one I just mentioned on Go to Middle, but that having all the projects out for bid is huge. So now, obviously we've got the others that you see up there to be determined, but they'll be probably next year sometime. All right, any questions?
Make a comment. It was so nice. I walked out my back door this morning to let my dog out, and I can hear the pounding at Graceland. I can see the roof at Graceland Upper. They were working on the roof.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
They were there.
I was smiling and saying, "Oh, I'm so happy to hear that pounding."
It is good. Yeah, they have actually until I think August, middle of August to finish. So hopefully they'll be done before kids start. It's
That's
gonna
the
be
real-
close.
There were several of them up there walking like they were walking right here. It's like, oh my God.
That's the result of Bob motivating them yesterday. I was there, so
They were there.
that's good.
They were there this morning.
It takes a little motivation.
Any other questions from public or board members? Mr. Martin? All right, sir. Good. All right, Mr. Bond with All South, we do thank you for your report. Number 6, new business. A, to consider a request from St. Mary Nativity to waive the fees for the use of facilities at Central Lafourche High School athletic field for track and field. Mrs. Baudouin and Mrs. Tucker, y'all have the floor.
Very much. So, Ms. Jessica, who's a teacher at St. Mary's, and Delilah here, I'm a parent of a student there. We're just here to request that the board please consider waiving the fees of those facilities, as we have a very small school and we don't have a gym or a track, and we work closely with the athletic directors at the different schools and the principals to get access. And so we're asking that you waive the fees, as we cannot afford to pay the fees, and we do understand that we are responsible for custodial fees, which we're definitely going to be able to pay that. So if you would please consider that, we'd appreciate it.
I so move. Second by Ms. Babin. Any questions from the board members? Yes,
I
ma'am.
have a question. This is great. I'm glad that St. Mary's has a track team. But do they participate? Why don't they participate in our middle school district? I was asked that question. So it's something we need to do.
I have been given the contact information, and I've been reaching out to that gentleman to try to get us included in the district.
We have to get there. Our school is growing and we need more students, and as of right now, we have volunteer coaches, I myself. So once we get to that point, we feel as though once we get in, we can continue to be a part of that, but right now, we're just not there yet. So, yeah.
So,
I was asked that question, so I wanted to bring it up.
Right. Christina?
Okay, so this is my question I always ask. Is it all the insurance in place? We've been vetted and such? In the process. So if we approve this, it would be contingent on that process. Okay, thank you.
I'm working closely with Ms. Carmen to make sure that she has everything that she has requested. So we're just waiting on one more thing, which we haven't. We just, it's gotta get it to us.
You did, but that's usually the question that I do
I
have.
understand.
Any additional questions on this item from the board? Any from the public? If not, we ask you please vote. Item is approved. Item B, to consider a request from St. Mary Nativity to waive the fees for the use of facilities at Raceland Middle School gym for volleyball and basketball. So moved. Second by Mrs. Babin. All right, any, you'd like to say it?
Same story.
Different name, different school.
Any questions or concerns from any board
You
members?
know what? That the students have the opportunity.
This is our second year of doing it, and last year was our first, so it was a learning experience, but the kids loved it. It
And
was
we see a
wonderful.
difference in their attitudes, the camaraderie. I mean, just with the track and field, we have 2 athletes from our school who participated in summer track. They're going to the Junior Olympics.
My son.
And my daughter, like, they developed a love for this sport that without this, we would have never known.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for volunteering.
Yes.
Congratulations to your kids.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the public?
Same situation.
Same situation with insurance. If none, I ask you to please vote. And it is passes. Ladies, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you
time.
very much for your time.
And for everything that y'all do. And I just want to know which one of y'all is the pole vault coach.
None of the above.
That's my husband.
We volunteered our husband.
We now have to go to the general meeting, and once that, then we will. All right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Item C, to receive a report on bids for hunting and fishing privileges on Section 16, Township 19, South 22 East, Bayou Raphael area. So moved. Second by Mrs. Babin.
Yes, my recommendation is to accept that bid of $501 annually from Austin Adams. This is for hunting and fishing privileges on Section 16, Township 19 South, 22 East, Bayou Raphael area at campsite BR4.
Okay, any questions from board members, concerns? Any from the general public? If not, I should please vote. Item approved. Item D, to receive a report on bids received for alligator hunting privileges on the Lafourche Parish School Board Section 16 properties. So moved.
Yes, sir. Bids were opened on July 6th of 2023, and we recommend acceptance of the high bid in the amount of 50% of high income from Lance Nacio for alligator hunting privileges on the Lafourche Parish School Board Section 16 property.
Any questions from the school board member? Any from the public? If none, please vote. And it does pass. If I am correct, Mr. Nazio received the award of his lease at last regular meeting. Item E, to authorize domain architect to begin systematic design on hurricane idle repairs at Golden Meadow Middle School. So moved. Second by Mrs. Batman. Mr. Joey, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. So we want to talk about Golden Meadow, Golden Meadow, Golden Meadow Middle, how about that? Building 3-6 is the library, band, and classroom building. Pretty severely damaged. Part of the roof came off during the storm. Water came through the first floor onto the second floor. We tried to do the FEMA 50% rule to get it demolished and replaced 100% of FEMA funding. That has not come through yet. Probably may or may not happen, probably won't happen. The second option was to go after what FEMA considers substantially damaged. If you go to the second page, there's some pictures of the damage. Maybe scroll down a little bit. Oh, is it on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the building highlighted in yellow on the right. And second picture is just some damage from the storm. So it's not very questionable that it was damaged by the storm. Unfortunately, fortunately, substantially damaged is another method to get some funding from FEMA. We meet the definitions of substantially damaged. The floodplain manager also agreed with that. What that means is FEMA will pay for storm-related damages. So if the roof was damaged, they'll pay for that. Water damage, they'll pay for. They'll do some code upgrades, some specific items in this building. There are no restrooms on the first floor. In order to meet ADA, we would need to have restrooms on the first floor, so they would pay for those upgrades. The trick is, so one option is to do FEMA upgrades to that existing building. That's a 70-year-old building. HVAC system, not completely damaged, so it wouldn't get completely replaced. The roof would obviously get replaced. Interior walls would get cleaned. New ceilings, some new lights, but not a new building by any stretch of the imagination. So with that, we explored a few scenarios. The other part is the building is below the floodplain new requirements. So in order to restore and use FEMA's money to restore it, we have to mitigate those circumstances. So we looked at a few options: raising the building, getting rid of just the first floor, trying to build another building somewhere else. And the way FEMA reviews that is we have to do the most cost-effective version of that. What that ends up being is a flood wall, basically a 3 or 4 foot high brick wall around the building with floodgates that would be stored on site in a trailer. And then when a storm comes in the Gulf or something pops up, you have to kind of shut that building down, install floodgates, We'd have a generator backup for flood pumps. Any rain that falls in there would get pumped out. So FEMA will pay for that upgrade. Not the most easy thing for the school board to use. You have a flash flood, it's hard to deal with that. So with the substantially damaged classification, so there's basically two options to present to you guys. The one option that we're asking for. So the first option is to just go through the normal FEMA process, repair the damages to that building. Anything that we can document and get justification from FEMA would be included in that, and they'll pay for it. The second option, and the one that we're asking you guys for, is you can take the money for the damages and upgrades, code required upgrades, which we think is about $2.3 million. And you can take that money and do an alternate project. You guys would have to kick in additional funding, but then we could design and build a new building using FEMA's, Head Start money to get you guys $2.3 million started on the project. So the first part, the part that you guys are approving tonight, is to let us start on schematic design, which would be laying out the building, and it would go in the same general location as that building. This building would be demolished in that scenario, and a new building built in its place. There's some talk of adding some T buildings to that program scope, but that'll get worked out in schematic design and final budgeting worked out. Lots more details, but I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
What was that same thing?
Turn it over to question.
Can we go back to the picture of the previous?
Sure.
So on this campus, this particular building is 70 years old, but the other buildings surrounding are not 70 years old. Am I correct in saying that? Like, is this just one of like the leftover buildings?
The rest of them are that old too, yeah.
Okay, so they all, okay, they all built at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's an addition to this building that's probably 50 years old, that was done in the 70s.
Yeah.
So with some of the other upgrades that you would be required to do, but also funded from FEMA, some code things have changed in it. It's very tricky how FEMA reviews this. I'm sure you guys have gone through this quite a bit, but they won't just wholeheartedly replace the system. So the roof on this one, for example, completely damaged, structural damage to that'll get replaced in kind. No real argument with those guys on that. So the windows you can see partially damaged. Sometimes FEMA gives you these rules of consensus-based code, which is, look, we know that we have a damaged building in a flood-prone area. Let's try to build back the most robust thing we can according to the new codes. There's documentation from FEMA that says to do that, but then when you bring up this specific instance, they say, oh, we'll just repair the 2 panes that are broken, not replace all the windows on the building. So you're slugging it out with them on each and every line item in these buildings. So we try to identify as many things that we can that were truly damaged by the storm to get as much money and funding from FEMA as we can. And hopefully you guys can get some more money on your end and get you guys a newer school. And the benefits of that are, it's just a new library, more functional, better layout, just better for the students and teachers, and a new building. Less maintenance cost. When we do build the new building, obviously it will be up to new codes. So energy code is a lot more restrictive now. So energy efficient equipment costs more money, but the energy consumption is lower. HVAC equipment, you just heard about the 40-year-old one that went out. This stuff will all be new if you choose to do the new one. It'll step out on times, but at least you're starting off with a new building that's not so band-aided and patched back together. So that's the recommendation. If you guys have any other questions.
I'd just like to potentially add to the conversation on behalf of building a completely new structure. Would it be your opinion that the new structure would be better able to withstand the next storm?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And right now, we're in a position where if we wait to see what FEMA is going to approve, that could be 5, 6, or 7 months from today.
That's correct. And then you're just waiting for FEMA to make that decision before you take your next step. The plan today is to start schematic design, get a little ahead. If that does come through and FEMA does an in-kind replacement, we're already ahead.
So the ask tonight of this committee is that you eliminate the possibility of simply making the minimum repairs to this building and putting up a flood wall,
Correct.
and making the decision to move forward with a completely modern new building built to the proper flood wall.
That's correct.
But knowing that at a minimum, we should expect to get at least the associated costs of what could be the least cost option that you estimate to be at 2.3 million.
That's correct.
Open up in 2025.
And potentially get kids back into the school sooner because we're making this decision now to start design.
We have it correct. If we could start now, we can plan is to get them in by the August of 2025 for that school year.
So it's a
Correct.
school year gain on this campus
Correct.
if we make this decision tonight. So if they make this decision tonight.
You mentioned the 2.3, but you haven't mentioned what the demo costs and the rebuild is.
So the rebuild, we haven't gone through the programming, so there's some conversation of do we include some other programming in that space? So right now, the cost that we're carrying for potentially new project is 3.2 for demo and rebuild. But again, those budgets would happen schematic design and design development along the process of the project.
Just keep in mind, all we would be voting on today would be for the schematic design.
That's correct.
That also includes, we would set aside a construction budget for this project of $4 million.
We're not authorizing the actual construction, but setting it aside.
Just setting aside.
And we would have that, that's,
Yes,
okay,
there is.
and I should.
I'm just talking about 2.3 million coming from, and the balance would come from our construction.
Does not cover books and stuff like that that are messed up, computers and all that.
Absolutely,
So is that going to be included in that?
That claim is separate and apart from this
The
project.
construction costs.
In fact, the principal of this school has already been given the green light to begin purchasing the contents. That word damage business, that's all part of our contents claim. Jared, am I speaking directly? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But we still are going to try to replace the whole thing. Still working on that.
Still working on that
While we're doing
concurrently,
this
yes,
other
ma'am.
schematic design. Okay.
That is correct. It is possible that our partners at All South are able to convince the officials in FEMA that this plan, because the building was substantially damaged, was the appropriate path forward, and they funded this project at the full 90%. It is also possible that they say, no, you should have put a flood wall and a generator and a pump, and then had Jared watch that pump as the flood came in. Right?
Or John.
Right. Or John.
That's where you want to be, right?
Because they have nowhere else to be than 24 hours before a storm makes landfall.
I live further south than John, so I probably pulled a short straw now.
But this gives us the design, so we could hit that 2025 having a school back up.
And if the first 50-50 rule part comes through, we're already ahead on the design, and then that part just funds into it.
So your design is for a whole new year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board members? Any from the public? If we have none, we ask you to please vote.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
We need a motion. Is there a motion? No motion. And it does pass. Item F, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs for millwork in the FACS lab and additional locations at South Lafourche High School. So moved. Anybody, Mrs. Batman? Anybody, Mr. Daniel? I see you are leaning forward.
So real quick, initial assessments, millwork looked okay, but after a year of the students using it over the past school year, they kind of deteriorated because they did get wet during the storm. And so it was determined that they were potentially eligible. I don't know, I mean, we're going after eligibility to replace them. I mean,
Yes, they should be.
so that's what that is. And we 115,000 money.
Yes, so the recommended action is to accept the change order request for Hurricane Ida repair in the sum of $115,320 for millwork from the fax lab and additional locations in South Central.
Already had a motion for that. Any other comments? Any comments or questions from Mr. Daniel? Any from the public? If not, we ask you please vote. And it does pass. Item G, to consider a change order request to add 5 pipe bollards at Lockport Upper Elementary School. So moved.
The recommended action would be to accept the request for owner upgrades to add $4,496 to the contract to add 5 pipe bollards at Lockport Upper Elementary School, single point.
This is where that single point of entry was added on the parking lot side. And they originally designed it, they went off of the canopy. And then once we got out there, Mr. Burrow decided it needed to be spread out a little more. So this would give us better coverage from a car driving through or anything like that.
All right, any questions? From our board, none, any from the public, none, I ask you please vote. And it passes. Item H, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to replace and or repair interior doors and frames at La Rose Cutoff Middle School. So moved. Second by Mrs. Babbitt.
Recommended action to accept this request for Hurricane Ida repairs in the sum of $3,890.70 to replace and or repair interior doors and frames due to water damage at La Rose Cutoff Middle School.
As the 2 years have passed, the bottom on some of them has started to swell that they had taken on water that wasn't caught initially.
Any questions, Mr. John? Any questions from the public? If none, I ask you please vote. Item passes. Item I, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to remove a tree trunk at St. Charles Elementary School. So moved. Seconded by Mrs. Babbitt.
We recommend approving this request for Hurricane Ida repairs in the sum of $3,850 to remove a 48-inch wide tree trunk that fell during Hurricane Ida on the roof of St. Charles Elementary School.
Any questions? Mr. John? Any from the public? If not, we ask you please vote. And it does pass. Item J, to consider a changed order request for Hurricane Ida repairs on Building 13 at Cutoff Elementary School. So moved. Second by Mrs. Babbitt.
Recommendation is to accept the change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs in the sum of $6,476.25 to coat and seal the roof on Building 13 at Cutoff Elementary School.
This is a modular building they use for storage. We had a couple of other ones that we decided to get rid of. So now this is the main one they use it for storage. FEMA had paid to do the inside, and upon further review, the outside needs a cool seal coating like on the roof. So this would take care of that and give us a good building.
Any comments, concerns from board members? Any from the public? With none, I ask you please vote. Item passes. Item K, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs for the demolition of the temporary building at the Tip Central. So moved.
Seconded.
Second by Mrs. Bowden.
The recommendation is to accept this change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs for the demolition of the temporary building at Tip Central for the sum of $7,136.
Please remove this building. The only wasp I got stung by after all the hurricane recovery was at this building. I hate this building. Remove it. It's a modular. I'm sorry.
Tell us how you really feel.
I went 2 years, no flats on my truck from hurricane debris, no nothing, except for right here.
If I were the chicken for the fish.
Be sure they take the wasp. Be sure they take the wasp with them when they remove the building.
Any questions or concerns?
But it's an old modular. That's just.
All right, with none, any from the public? With none, please vote. Item is approved. Item L, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to replace water damaged ceiling at PLC. So moved.
Seconded.
Seconded by Ms. Bowden.
The recommended action here is to accept this change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to replace water damaged plywood and install 12 by 12 inch ceiling tiles at the PLC in the sum of $6,757.21.
This is another one of those, once you get in there and you kind of start opening it up, you find more. There's a couple of pieces of plywood that need to be corrected for some ceiling tile.
Any questions or concerns from the board? Any from the public? With none, please vote. Item is approved. Item M, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to paint and add an additional layer of gypsum board at Tip Central. So moved.
Seconded.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowden.
Recommended action to accept a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to paint and add an additional layer of gypsum board at Tip Central in the sum of $19,750.17.
When they went in to do the work, they found that it was a gypsum board that had like a vinyl finish on it. We're replacing it with just regular sheetrock gypsum. We're gonna paint over it instead. This would give us the 2 coats we need, so we thick enough to go on.
Any questions from the board or concerns? Any from the general public? With none, I ask you please vote. Motion passes. Item N, to consider a change order request for the replacement of 2 HVAC systems at the Tip Central. So moved.
Seconded.
Seconded. Mrs. Bowden.
Our recommendation is to accept this change order request for the replacement of 2 5-ton HVAC systems and to add 30 additional days to Tip Central. And the sum for this is $37,389.
This is for 2 units, so it's like 16,000 apiece with some change. That's the inside unit and the outside unit. And also the existing ones are Freon 22, which is hard to find, and very expensive. So this would upgrade it to a better SEER rating and a better refrigerant image.
Any questions or concerns for this item? From the board, any from the public? If none, I ask you please vote. Item passes. Item O, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to reinstall power strips and data connections at Bayou Blue Elementary School. So moved. Seconded by Mrs. Babin.
This change order request is also connected to Hurricane Ida repairs to reinstall power strips and data connections to existing millwork in 8 classrooms in building number 7 at Bayou Blue Elementary School for the sum of $2,534.64. That would be our recommendation.
This is a building that's kind of parallel with 182, where they took the majority of the wind. It's right past the building that we completely lost. And along that wall, they cut like the bottom 3 foot of sheetrock off, and we had a shelf up against there. It wasn't caught that we need to put the shelf back. So this would just get that shelf reinstalled back against the wall.
Any questions from the board, concerns? Any from the general public? If none, I ask you please vote. Item passes. Item P, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to replace the fencing at W.S. LaFleur Elementary School. So moved. Seconded by Mrs. Babin.
Recommended action is to approve this change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to replace 175 linear feet of fencing where the portable building was removed at W.S. LaFleur Elementary, and the cost is $7,944.
We have single point all around the school. We have fencing all the way around where those portables were. The fencing comes up to it and then lowered just around the bottom of the fence. Now that the portable's gone, we need to raise the fence.
Any questions from board
I
members?
noticed that, as they're going,
Yes.
this, somebody could easily just walk over that little fence. So I'm glad that we fixed it.
That's what it's addressed.
There was a
Where the
building.
portable one, yes.
Well, good point. Any other concerns from board members? Any from the public? If none, please vote. Item passes. Item Q, to consider bids for Hurricane Ida repairs to repair the roof at Golden Meadow Middle School. So moved. Seconded by Mrs. Babin.
The recommended action is to accept the most responsive and responsible bidder, Love's Properties LLC, with a base bid in the amount of $803,000, an alternate number 1 in the amount of $5,000, and an alternate number 2 in the amount of $18,000 for a total bid amount of $803,023 for Hurricane Ida repairs to the roof at Golden Meadow Middle School.
The total roof.
Yes,
Not all
right. The old building.
Any other comments from board members, questions, any from the public? If none, I ask you please vote. Item passes. Item R, to consider a change order request for single point of entry at Lockport Upper Elementary School. So moved. Seconded by Mrs. Tina. Madam?
We recommend acceptance of this change order request for single point of entry by adding millwork to the front entrance, a speaker for the pass-through window with bullet-resistant steel receiver for the sum of $20,393.
Adding these will keep us in line with what we have our other single point entry. I can speak to why it wasn't originally on there, but
And
just,
this is coming from
just to add it.
safety funds. Yes, ma'am?
Well, it's not specifically on this one, but how many of our schools at this point will not be single point? Is this like the last one?
We have five, currently, Pine Blue, Pine Bluff, and Golden Mountain Middle School, one of that five, so, St. Charles Elementary School, Lockport, Upper Elementary School. Lower Elementary.
In the future, you see us moving to have those schools
Yes,
based as
ma'am.
well?
Yeah, we're currently working through that, alongside Hurricane. It's going to be completely done, pretty soon. A little tidbit on that, we have 1,600, schools in Louisiana, only 15% of them are single point of entry. So we make up a big
Thank you.
Any other concerns?
No, I just wanted to add, so, when he was talking, the three that he said are in the works right now, Golden Meadow, Lockport, and St. Charles, that they're currently under construction to get the single point of entry. So those are happening. And the two that are not happening, of course, is Golden Meadow Middle and for obvious reasons, they're not occupied and about to be under design.
It's something that,
When these projects are done, you're at 100%.
thank you very much.
Any other comments from the board? Any from the public? If not, I should please vote. Item passes. Item S, to consider bids for Hurricane Ida repairs for Central Lafourche High School and CM Washington Elementary School. So moved. Seconded by Mrs. Batman.
Recommended action is to accept the low bid from Cotton Commercial USA with a base bid in the sum of $3,137,754. Alternate number 1 in the sum of $35,815. Alternate number 2 in the sum of $23,833. And alternate number 3 in the sum of $12,797. For a total bid amount of $3,210,199. Hurricane repairs at Central Lafourche High School and CM Washington Elementary School.
And the funding on this is okay related, so we're gonna go through FEMA, possibly.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad Andy's still here.
All right,
And there is,
thank you for staying.
Good evening again. If you recall, I think on the May planning facility meeting, this project actually came up and was approved at I believe the June board meeting. It was tabled because there was legal action taken from the second bidder. We went through that legal proceeding. We, meaning the school board, was victorious in that proceeding. And so this is just, I guess, a reintroduction of that process. To answer your question, yes, it's FEMA funding for repairs at both of those sites. The alternates, the prices for the alternates are actually not FEMA eligible. That's why they're in the alternate structure. So that portion would be borne by the school board.
And just to be clear, the work we're talking about here, Andy, is the metal roofing at Central Lafourche that was damaged.
Yes.
But in looking at that metal roof, it was realized that the truss system had some rust repair that
That's
had to
correct.
be remediated, and this alternate work is to repair that truss system.
That's
And
correct.
it's
So
not hurricane related, but the metal roof, the lion's share of this project is.
absolutely, yeah, the 23,000 number.
and includes Thibodeau High School too.
Yeah, alternate 2 is Central
And trust
Lafourche.
work on top.
Alternate 3 is Thibodeau High School. Similar scopes of work at both of those sites. Alternate 1 is actually removing and replacing the skylights at Central. So that's kind of a hardening effort there, but
CM Washington,
CM Washington has a little bit of roof work. Most of it is interior stuff, though. Some broken glass. The breakdown of the work is much more heavily weighted to Central LaFourche High School. So that contract amount, a very small percentage of it is attributable to CM Washington. And we'll account for those numbers separately for the All South team. But the lion's share of the work is at Central, yes, ma'am.
So I just want, not necessarily for us at the table, but for the public watching to be aware that when we say hurricane repairs and Ida damage, that most of those things are FEMA covered and that they're not coming out of pocket of the school board.
All right, any other questions? Understand? Understand, well, any from the public? Without none, I should please vote. Motion approved. Item T, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs for removal, replacement, and painting of exterior fiber cement panels for building number 5 at Bayou Blue Elementary School. So moved. Seconded by Mr. Babin.
The recommended action is to accept the change order request for Hurricane Ida in the sum of $5,600 for removal, replacement, and painting of exterior fiber cement panels on building number 5 at Bayou Blue Elementary School that were damaged by window shutters blowing open during Hurricane Ida.
Oh, further inspection, we realized there was some damage behind the shutters along the wall. This would correct that.
Any other questions, concerns from board members? Any from the public? With none, please vote. Item passes. Item U, to consider a change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to add 27 additional days to the contract for Building 7 at Bayou Blue Elementary School. So moved. Seconded by Mr. Babin.
Recommended action to accept the change order request for Hurricane Ida repairs to add 27 additional days to the contract for building number 7 at Bayou Blue Elementary School due to delays of fabrication and delivery of bricks by the manufacturer.
I did witness that. So. Any other concerns or questions by the school board? All right, anybody in the general public? If not, please vote. Item passes. Item V, to receive a report from a lead accountant.
And tonight it will be Ms. Chastity email.
Ms. Chastity email, the assistant, in reference to ongoing project budgets. You have the floor.
Good evening. The 2017 construction bond, we have revenues of $19,270,995 from the bond referendum and the interest earned on that money. And to date, we've spent $17,583,251, with $1,687,744 remaining, but obligated and dedicated to specific projects such as Ida upgrades, that's approximately $1.2 million, Thibodeau Middle School, and various chiller repairs at various schools. The 2021 construction bond, interest and the bond referendum revenues total $48,995,033. To date, we've expended $33,936,675, and the remaining $15,058,358 is dedicated to Thibodeau Middle School at $3.9 million. $10.5 million is toward owner upgrades for Hurricane Ida, and then various projects such as Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School renovations, the high school stadiums. That's our report for tonight.
Thank you very much. All right, so with no additional items brought before this committee, I adjourn this meeting.